Okay, hey mamas. Hey, from all of us. Everybody say hi.
Hello.
Hey guys. So I would like to kick this off and just introduce everybody here on this call so you know who we all are and talk just a little bit about our vision for it. And Kayla and Julie, y'all feel free to jump in if you think I'm like getting it wrong or you think I should add something else or whatever. But we are so excited to be growing this moms community in Montgomery County because we know that that's what moms need. Moms need community, whether it's virtual or in person. Moms need help. Moms need tips. Moms just need motivation. I mean, am I wrong? Like
I need everything right now.
all of the things, of the things. So we want to every Monday, we want to bring some value to you guys, whether that's Beth helping us like get our life together in our house, or Andrea, who's going to come on with us at some point, help us figure out how to dress. We need all the tips, like somebody that can teach us how to eat right, exercise right, all of it. Like, what am I missing, ladies? We want to know what you guys want to hear about, because in our community that is nearing 8,500 women, not everybody's here all the time, obviously, but we've got a lot of people with great experience in fields that would benefit moms. So drop in the comments what you guys want to hear from us. So what am I missing, ladies?
I don't think you are. I think that was perfect.
Well, that's a good way to start out my day. All right. So we are also going to talk about the website here in a little bit, but I say we kick it off and just let Beth share her wisdom with us.
Awesome. Well, good morning, everyone. And I'm happy to come on and share some tips. I know I've been super organized my whole life. And then just a little bit about my story, but I flooded in Harvey. And that was a pivotal point for me because I realized that organization doesn't necessarily take away the stress. Even though I was very organized, I had a lot of things. And so after the storm, then I had less things. And that's when I started to see the value in how less is more. So not having as much actually makes me mentally more clear, less stress, like less anxiety. And so that doesn't mean you can't have things, but sometimes when our spaces are so packed, it's just hard mentally to stay on top of what you have. So staying organized is really, really important. And then decluttering is also a very crucial piece. And so what that looks like is it could be that you declutter regularly, so you don't have to go through a big declutter session, or you're just really intentional about moving those things out that you don't need or that you don't use, so that you can really make room for the things that you want to use and that you do need.
Awesome. So what tips would you give our mamas for, okay, so look, I organized my pantry yesterday. Mm-hmm. For those of you who are Facebook or Instagram followers or friends with me, you saw my journey. It was a shit show really to start with. And I don't know how, because it feels like I just did it like 3 months ago or 4 months ago.
I feel like you did it really quick yesterday though. I was like impressed. Like it felt like you only spent like an hour or so.
Oh no, girl, that was like 4 or 5 hours.
Okay.
Isn't that so true of Instagram? We think everybody else is just getting things done in an hour and we're but in reality it took like 5 hours, and Ellen doesn't have a toddler running in saying, "Can you open this snack for me?" You know.
Yeah. So, luckily I was alone in the house when I did this. Like nobody was here, which was amazing. But it took forever. So like Beth, let's talk about a pantry as an example, because we all got that. How can we keep the dang pantry organized so we don't have to do what I did yesterday?
So I think the most important thing with pantries is that you have a system. And so bins and labels is a big part of the system.
I have no
reason the bins and the labels are important is, let's just talk about the nut bin, for example. You know, most people have nuts in their pantry. So you have a bin that says nuts, and it could be a small bin or a large bin. But when that bin is full, you stop buying nuts, or you use up the nuts, or you donate them to your housekeeper because you no longer like pistachios, whatever it is. But you have to set some guidelines. Otherwise, we just keep buying, keep filling, and our spaces get too crammed and we lose sight of what we have. So having that parameter is really, really important. If you decide that you just love nuts that much and you want a second bin, that's fine. You can have 2 nut bins in your pantry, but then you might have to take away a bin. And so the system is really the most important piece. And when we have bins, then it kind of gives us some parameters. So we don't put everything in a bin. I don't recommend, you can use a can organizer, you can use a turntable for sauces and different items, but having a system and actually following it is really key. And so, and I always say, think about how often you go to the grocery store. So for example, my husband and I go several times a week. We like to go like every other day, every 3 days, because we like to get things fresh. We don't want to throw out food. And so literally I can buy everything that I need once or twice a week at the store. So when I stop and I think about that, then how many ketchups do I need to have in my pantry? I really don't need that many extras, if you will. So I have a rule that in my house, I don't keep more than 2 extras of anything. And so there are some things that I don't even keep 2 extras, because I know that I go to the store enough that I can get it when I'm there, because I'm there a lot.
That's a really good tip, Beth, because I'm always thinking, well, I need 5 Rotels and 6 tomato pastes and, all that. But we go 2 or 3 times a week too. So that's probably a good way. And I think of it that way because I think what if I spur of the moment want to make this one recipe, and maybe I'm going to have everything in the house. But I guess if I really think about it, it's probably going to have something fresh that I don't have regardless. So I'm going to need
to go to the store anyway. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think it's like a comfort thing. We tend to overbuy because we don't want to run out. But with Amazon and things coming in 2 days and deliveries, literally I can have stuff at my door in an hour, and just all the conveniences that we have in life with shopping. We don't necessarily have to stockpile as many things as and I put myself included, typically, have on hand. And so the benefit of not having a ton of extras is now your space is less cluttered, so you can really see what you have. And then when you see what you have, you're more likely to use what you have. So you're not spending time looking for stuff. You're not wasting money because all your products are expiring. And mentally, it feels good to have control of your spaces and your things. So, I don't have to go into my pantry. I could tell you how many pasta sauces I have right now, how many peanut butters I have, because I have
space.
That was great.
Level of elite. I strive for this, but
Yeah.
But because I don't have I have a lot of bins in my pantry, but they're not overstuffed. So when I cook and I go into the cooking bin, visually I see what's in there. I'm not counting, but subliminally I know, because I'm constantly in my pantry. I go in my pantry several times a day. So I see it, I know it. And before I go to the store, I usually go into my pantry and I just do a once over. I know what to put on my list. I open my fridge. I do a once over. I know what to put on my list. And those processes.
Question, Beth?
Yes.
What is a cooking bin?
Okay.
What is that?
So the cooking bin is the miscellaneous things that don't get to have their own category, right? So you have snacks. You have, maybe it's a baking bin. Maybe I have a fast meal bin, which is the mac and cheese and the ramen that my kids love to pop in the microwave, things like that. So my cooking bin is miscellaneous things that maybe I only have 1 or 2 of. So right now in my cooking bin, it's a chili packet. I don't buy those all year, but we like to do a lot of chili in the winter. So the little packet that you buy, I throw that in my cooking bin because I'm not going to have a bin that says chili products or whatnot. So it's kind of a miscellaneous bin, if you will.
My whole pantry was miscellaneous yesterday.
Well, and you can't have the whole pantry miscellaneous, because then you don't really have a grasp of what's there.
Mm-hmm.
And so.
For sure. Man.
But the organized pantry and having less in it helps me tremendously with time, with money, with shopping. And then I cook the things that I really want to cook too. You know, it makes decisions so much easier. And I have tweens, one of whom has ADHD. And these concepts not only help me as a mom, but they help my kids. And so when my kiddos want to go in and get something from the pantry, when they're packing their own lunches or they're putting the groceries away, these systems are really helpful for them as well. And they know if they use the last mac and cheese, or there's only two left, and they want to make sure that we have more, we have a notepad in our junk drawer that they know where to put it on the list. And so just in case mom doesn't catch it, they know, like, okay, this is something we're running out of. I want to make sure we have it. I'm going to put it on the list. And so they add things that they want or that they think they need on the list as well. And that's just another system that helps our flow day to day run more smoothly.
I just legit can't believe that I actually know somebody who can tell me right now what they've got in their pantry. Like, I'm impressed. I am very impressed, Beth.
I feel like I could maybe tell you what's in my kitchen zone, Ellen, but
what is a kitchen zone?
Like basically what's in my kitchen. If you ask me how many sets of tongs I have, I could tell you how many. The kitchen, I feel like I know what's going on in there. Because
Kayla, who are these people? This is not us.
No. I have to bring up the unicorn in the room. For me, we haven't tapped on this topic yet, but it's the children's paraphernalia, toy corral.
Let's hit that next, because I think that's a big one for moms. I have a college-age student who clearly I don't need to deal with this anymore, but I am not the majority I know in this group. So Beth, let's tell these moms, because I know we have 2 moms of littles right now on this call with us here in the screen, and I'm sure everywhere in the group. How do you keep the toys and the toy area and all of that? Like, how do you keep that together?
Especially when they are emotionally attached to everything.
Okay. So the same concept that we talked about in the pantry, which was less is more, applies to a playroom. Typically, kids have way too many toys at their fingertips, and that's overwhelming. And so it's overwhelming for you to manage. It's overwhelming for the kids to manage. And so that doesn't mean they can't have toys, but oftentimes what we like to do is have a rotation system where their favorites, have those at their fingertips, maybe put, some toys in a bin and put them away and then pull them back out later. And it's like Christmas again. But the important thing about managing toys are hard. And I believe that toys are the hardest thing to manage because it changes so often. Your garage, typically what's in a garage stays in a garage, and a pantry and a master closet. But the toys, as the kids get older, you have a birthday party and all of a sudden you have all these new things, and then Christmas and you have all these new things. So I would say the playroom needs the most tweaks in that you have systems, but all of a sudden now you have Nerf guns and they don't fit in bins, or you've got the Barbie house and now you have this big thing that you have to deal with, and so it's okay for kids to have toys and have a lot of toys, but I think not having access to everything all the time and just paring it down really simplifies things a whole lot. And and then the other thing is you have to be really careful about the system that you implement. So a lot of moms want the Barbie shoes to be in its own little bin, and then the dolls in a bin, and the clothes in a bin, and then all the furniture. And I don't want to sort that stuff every single day when I'm helping my 3-year-old clean up. And so maybe it just means a bigger bin that says Barbie, and all the Barbie stuff goes together. Because you know what? In 2 seconds, if you separate all those things out, their little fingers touch it and it's all a mess anyway. And so making the system easy for you is also making a system that's easy for them, and it makes it a lot easier to manage.
Okay. What do y'all think, Julie and Kayla? Like, I'm legit not in that season anymore. So
that was something that we did at Christmas, was like a lot of gifts that are, I have twins that will be 2 next month. And we hid a bunch of their gifts like in a closet, because I was just like, we don't need to open any more toys at this point. So we literally, like, a lot of their toys that were still packaged up that they weren't already emotionally attached to, like their Woody doll and their Buzz doll. But like stuff that were like puzzle pieces or like other little things that were still wrapped, I just stuck them in a closet to where they can't find them. And I was like, you know what, in a couple months, we'll, like you said, rotate them out. Need to like still go through and get rid of, like, they're in that weird transitional phase where it's like, they have some of their little baby stuff that they don't really play with anymore. So I'm like, okay, I need to package that up and go donate it, or go give it to someone, or do something with it, just out of the house. It's, I've always tried, like, as soon as we're done with it, get it out of the house.
Yep. And I would say having them part of the system, I mean, you have to be careful because sometimes it's traumatizing for kids to get rid of their stuff. But sometimes, and there's a balance, right? It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Sometimes having them part of the process is good too. So yeah, my son was little. He had a lot of toys. They accumulated fast. And so I don't know, he was probably 2 or 3. And I put a bunch of toys on the floor of the playroom, and I got a bin, a large storage bin like you would put holiday decor in. And I said, okay, we're going to see what your favorites are. Let's fill the bin with all your favorite toys. And so he did. And so he put all his favorite bins in the, all his favorite toys in the bin. And then I was like, oh no, no more are going to fit. And so, we talked about how we could give toys to kiddos who didn't have toys. Using that approach was very different than saying, oh, you don't play with Spider-Man anymore. Let's give Spider-Man away. Let's give, So sometimes the approach that you use, and we use that same approach on adults when we're doing water bottles, or coffee cups, let's clear the space. Hand me your favorites. Let's fill a shelf. Okay. Do you want to fill a second shelf? Okay. Do you want to fill a third shelf? And usually when you do it that way, it's different than saying, which ones you want to get rid of, because even with the coffee cups and adults, they might pass on 2. Whereas when we identify our goal, how much space in your kitchen do you want to use for coffee cups? Usually people allot a much smaller space than what they're taking up. And then it's easier to reduce the amount.
I need to do this with my closet.
Yeah, so next let's cover I think, Beth, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think the 2 biggest areas outside of what we've already covered are the actual kitchen and then an actual master closet. Would you say that's right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hit those.
Okay. So do you want me to walk you through the process, or do you have specific questions?
No, you look, I am not the person. So okay. You go.
So if I was doing a kitchen, I try to think about what we use in the kitchen the most. So we all have things that we use all the time. We have things that we use, once a year on occasion. And then we all have those things that we never use. So let's start with the things that we use all the time. So, and then we're going to place those items in what we would call prime real estate. So the easiest places to get to. And, if we're talking about drawers, the number one thing that I would always do first is the silverware drawer. That's something we use several times a day. And then kind of work my way through the other things. So we strategically put silverware near a dishwasher. Your cooking utensils should go near the stove, towels near the sink, that sort of thing. So what I like to do is take a Post-it note and map out the kitchen and kind of, and it's not always perfect. Sometimes you have more Post-it notes than you do drawers, and then you have to make some decisions. Maybe the towels go in a second drawer, depending on what works. And then I do the same thing for the upper cabinets and the lower cabinets. So I always start with plates and bowls and cups, and then lower, obviously, pots and pans. And then you have some items that could go either way. So water bottles could go up, water bottles could go down. And so, it depends on, do we want the kids to be able to access the water bottles so that they can pack their own water for school? Well, if that's the system that we want in place, then we need to strategically place those in a spot that's good for them. I don't like prime real estate spaces to be crowded. So if I'm going to have a crowded cabinet, it's going to be the cabinet that has a lot of the things that maybe I'm not using all the time, and that's oftentimes your serving platters or, the appliances or, things that can be tucked high or tucked in a corner, those weird nooks that are hard to get to, that sort of thing. Tupperware seems to be, or food storage is something that typically stresses people out. And we often have way more than what we use. So with Tupperware or food storage, I would say pull everything out of the cabinet and separate it. Put on one side all the things that you've used in the past few months, let's just say. And then look at what you aren't using. And if you think you need it for whatever reason, that's fine. But, take an assessment of what you actually use. And a lot of times that'll help drive your decisions, instead of saying, let me pull some out. Because when we pull some out, we might pull one or two. And there's no rule you have to get rid of stuff. But you want to place things in your home so it's easy. You want to help your day-to-day function. So, cleaning up each little space so that it's easy for you to function and get things put away quickly or get access to it quickly is pretty huge.
Okay.
Any questions in the kitchen?
I really like that sticky note idea.
It helps to kind of map it out, and usually you have to alter it a little bit, but yeah, in your mind you might think, oh, I want a drawer that has the straws for my cups and the lids. But then when you use your sticky note system, you might realize, well, I actually don't have a whole drawer that I can designate for that.
Yeah.
I want to designate a drawer for my gadgets because I actually use my, peeler and my garlic press all the time. And so that makes more sense than, something else.
All this is doing is telling me I legitimately have no organizational system for my kitchen at all.
Well, now I'm like, I want to use that now. I'm already like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go home now, and do the sticky notes in every room. Because now I'm like, oh my gosh, that's such a great idea. We just moved, and that's where we're like, we just have stuff where we don't know where to put. Mm-hmm. And so doing that in our laundry room and then in our bathrooms, it's like, okay, that's actually would be, because I think that's my issue is I start putting stuff away and then I'm like, well, that was a bad idea. Or I ran out of space, or there's not, so the sticky note thing, I will report back next week on how well that worked.
Yeah. And I think finding a home for things is really important. And that's a system that people typically lack. So, yes. And what happens then is you end up with things all over the house. So let's just say light bulbs, for example. We tend to find light bulbs all over a home. Oftentimes it's not even the bulbs for that home. It's the bulbs from 3 homes ago, but you don't get rid of light bulbs. So you just take them with you. But having them all in one spot.
And batteries is another
thing. And I didn't find how much space do I really want to allot to these items in my home? And so it's not like, oh, you can't keep the batteries that you're keeping, but what really makes sense, and some people realize when they put it all together, whoa, I didn't realize that I had that many. They were just kind of accumulating through the home. And we call that house systems, Kayla. Having house systems, it really makes you feel good because you know what you have. And the best thing about having those systems in place is that, when you come home and you're putting things away, you're like, I know where this goes. And then when you put it away, you're also taking a little mental inventory of what's there so that when you're shopping, you don't need to buy more of, the AAAs or whatever it is because it's all together and you can see what's there. The junk drawer, we didn't talk about the junk drawer, but I do want to say really fast, the junk drawer is really not supposed to be junk. The junk drawer is stuff that you keep in your kitchen that aren't kitchen items. So things that you need to have access to, but you're not going to put it in your silverware drawer. So, most people in their junk drawer, they want scissors or paper or pencil, or maybe it's a small measuring tape or stamps or whatever it is. So oftentimes, people will have 6 junk drawers that it's like the pool manual or what, things that, the AC thermometer that was replaced, it's the old one, we held on to it, I don't know why. So with a junk drawer, I usually stop and think, okay, what is it that I need in the kitchen that's not a kitchen item, if you will? Okay, and then let's make a spot for these things. And so, and we use inexpensive organizers or, all kinds of organizers to help you kind of have a compartment for those things. And it's really just about being intentional about the space.
I like it. Okay. Yeah. Primary master closet. Let's cover that one.
Yes. So I actually just had a call with someone today about a closet. And what happens in a master closet is oftentimes it becomes a storage unit for our things that we want to wear, like our master closet items, but then also other things, because it's such an easy spot to get to. So I always say you start your day in your closet, you end your day in your closet. Your closet should really be the stuff that you need to get ready. And so if you have a huge closet and you want to store other things in there, that's fine. But it really does feel good to get those things out. I used to keep my sewing machine in my closet years ago. And it felt so good to get it out. And then it was the sewing machine, and then it was all the things that went with the sewing machine. And I kind of took over a corner of my closet. And that's fine, but it felt really good to get it out. So I would just assess whatever's in your closet. First of all, does it make sense to be there? And if you have a space somewhere else in the home to store your gift wrap or mementos, a lot of people keep pictures and memories and art from the kids in their closet. That's okay. But if you have another spot and you want to store it in a storage space somewhere else that makes sense, that's key. So with a closet, the same thing we would do as a pantry. In a pantry, you want to do in your closet. So obviously the things that make sense are hanging your clothes. We like to color sort and face everything the same way and group things so that you can visually see what you have, which means that, your short sleeve shirts are together, your dresses are together. And then by color coding visually, all of a sudden you start to see like, oh, whoa, I have, 17 black dresses and, not as many colors. So when you're shopping, it helps you with that process. And then shoes tend to be the hardest thing in a closet because oftentimes we don't have enough shelves for the shoes. So getting a shoe system and making space for the shoes. And then the stuff, I like to do bins for the stuff so that you have all your accessories together, or you have your travel bags together, all your purses, or, and so getting the categories, bins, labels, kind of like what we talked about in the pantry, is really, really helpful because when you need something, you know where to go to get it. A lot of people like to tuck in their closet. And so anywhere they can find a spot, they'll shove things.
Yeah, I understand what that is.
I feel called out.
And she sees us.
It's easy to do that when you don't have that system, right?
Especially when you've got like all the jeans hanging there, like legitimately you can put stuff behind there and nobody will ever see it.
Yeah. But
including you, Ellen.
You lose it, it gets dusty, and then you probably go and buy more because you're like, I know I bought it, I don't know where I put it, or you don't want to dig back there to get it. And so we try.
I found all the things I tucked when I cleaned out my closet last week. Found them all. Had no idea. I forgot half of the stuff was there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
And if it's something you really want, then you might dig for it. But oftentimes we end up putting a lot of things, tucking a lot of things that, we lose sight of, and then they're just taking up space and collecting dust and cluttering our physical space and our mental space. And so making room for the things that matter, giving things that, a home is really, really important. And moving, again, that's prime real estate for your closet items. And so moving, if you can move out things that don't need to be there, that could be stored somewhere else, then it's easier to see the things that you really want to use. And the other thing too is when you put things in your closet that are easy to get to, you're more likely to use them. So, sometimes when our shoes are in the shoe boxes and they're stacked 5 high, it's a lot harder to get to that box at the bottom. And so there's nothing wrong with that because you're maximizing storage, but the system that you've created is you've got to go through all these steps to get to that pair of shoes. So if you take all the shoes out of the box and you arrange them where you can grab the shoes and go, you're more likely to wear the shoes and use the things that you have and that you love and you spent a lot of money on.
I like it. All right. Do y'all have any questions left for Miss Beth?
I do, but I could talk to Beth for like 3 hours. But so when she's describing the kitchen or something, I definitely feel like I know where the batteries go. I know where the light bulbs go. Like I feel good about those things. What I'm realizing is that there are certain areas of my life, and I know there are going to be moms that this resonates with because it's just life, but it's like I have too much inventory in certain categories that they do not all fit where they belong. So it's just like an explosion of a unicorn in my office. But then when I try to get rid of them, it's like Ariel, and she has like her treasure trove of hoarding, and she cries if this broken thing gets thrown away. And how do we, like, let's say she's at school, how do I break emotional ties from, I remember when she played with this, but she doesn't really play with it anymore, or I'd hope she would play with this, but she didn't. Like, how do I just let go of this over sentimentality because I want that peace of mind of I can manage the inventory in my own home?
Well, and that's important, Julie, because you want to teach these skills to your kids. So as they grow up, you want them to be able to manage their things too. I think that one thing that we tend to do is hold on to a memory with the thing. And it's important to realize that we can hold on to these really good memories without the thing. And so some things, you absolutely should hold on to it, right? Because there's so much sentiment there, but everything can't be sentimental and that we hold on to. So if there's something that I struggle with, I know I need to get rid of it, but I don't want to. Sometimes I'll put it in a bin in the garage and it's like almost out the door. And then I see, do I pull it back in? If I'm thinking about it, I'm stressed about it, I'm overwhelmed, I'm thinking, I really should hold on to this, and I pull it back in, okay, I'm not ready to get rid of it. The other thing that I do is I'll take pictures of things. So things that my kids love that, I know we need to get rid of. Let's take a photo. We can look at the photo and talk about the memories that are attached to it, but we don't actually need the item, if that makes sense. And so I think some of those, it's a mindset thing, and so we tend to hold on to it because we think that if we get rid of it, we've now erased, that memory. And that's not necessarily true, and like the perfect point would be that my kids have really good memories of the things that we talk about the most or the pictures that we look at. And so you can keep a lot of memories alive that way, as opposed to holding on to all the things.
I love that you brought this up because I've thought about this too. And I was cleaning out when we were moving, I was cleaning clothes out and stuff. And one of my friends was helping me and she was like, why do you still have these shorts? They're these massive terry cloth shorts that I wore when I was pregnant. And I was like, oh, my water broke in those. And she was like, I mean, they've been washed, obviously. She was like, okay, get rid of that. That's just, she's like, first off, they don't fit you anymore. And I was like, oh, but like my water broke in those shorts. And she's like, that's weird. Like, that's weird. I was like, okay, thank you for telling me.
It's not weird. It's totally normal and adjusted.
I was Mom,
you don't need the shorts to remember this. You already have that memory stored, and you can tell the story about the shorts. We don't need to see them or have them, right? To enjoy that story. And so
We don't need to see them to remember your waterproof, Kayla.
They're like size like 2XL, like massive. And I'm like, I will never be able to fit in these again.
No.
Unless I get pregnant again, knock on wood.
Pregnant again with twins.
Yeah. So I was like,
not necessarily, Ellen, here. Okay. I'm here to tell the tale. As you keep going, it just, all bets are off.
Yeah, I know. It's been 2 years. They need to go.
I love it.
And I like to look at, like, instead of looking at each item separately, start to ask yourself the question, how much do I want to hold on to that's memory? And so how much space do I have in my home, or how much am I willing to bring with me house to house to house? I've moved a lot. So bringing things from house to house, can be exhausting. So if you have, let's just say, a guest closet and you say, this is where I'm keeping all the memories, sometimes have the space to find how much you keep. And maybe, Kayla, you have a special bin where you put things, but over time you're adding things and you're also pulling things out. So you say, okay, this is the space. I'm going to give myself one big bin for whatever. Or, and this could be kids' art, it could be kids' clothes, it could be toys for your kids when they have kids, it could be whatever. But taking a step back and saying, how much space am I using to store these things, right, that are important in life? And giving yourself those parameters, just like we talked about with the pantry, how many bins are we going to put of snacks in the pantry? How many bins of storage do you want to have?
Yeah.
And there's no right or wrong to that. Some people have really small storage spaces and they really can't store as much. But just because you have a huge storage space doesn't mean that now you keep 16 bins, because you can fit 16 bins. So using that mindset instead of looking at the individual item, that helps too. And I've saved stuff for my kids. I have a bin for each kiddo, and I'll put things in the bin. And then in a year, when I'm putting different things in the bin, I realize, like, oh, I was holding on to that. It was really important at the time that I stuck it in. But now we have these other cool things, and I'm ready to part with that. And so
makes sense. Thank you, Beth, so much for sharing all of your wisdom with us. So before we go, 2 things. We're going to talk about, Anita is going to share what we're doing with the Moco Moms website with us. And Beth, I want you to do a really brief blurb of what are your services, what do you think you help the moms the most with, and how they can reach you. And then we'll put up a post with your information as well.
Okay. So as you ladies already know, we're doing a website for all the Moco Moms. It's based from the group. All the moms can access it, but we feature it in the group. And as we do, since today is also Monday, we do each Monday like Marketing Monday. We wanted to take that feature and do a page on the website where we can go anytime and look for a resource or a business that we can get something from, and that is from the local moms. We do have I'm going to put this link in the chat here. We do have some of the local business on there right now, but I know we have so much more in the group that can be added. So I'm just going to add here from Ellen's Facebook. You can see the page that says Support Local Moms, where you can just submit your information for your business, and then during the week we will add that business to our website. Just make sure to add the description that you want for your business and a picture of your logo and all the contact info you want the people to have. Other than that, we're also working on a resource page that is going to be where all of you can submit your favorites in all of Montgomery County, and then people can go in. For example, if you want a dentist, they can go in and check who are most recommended, who do you have the best experiences with, and we have also a link for that too, where you can just submit their information, and then we're going to put that on our website. That is not live yet, but it's going to be during the week as soon as we get as more information as we can for that page.
And if you guys have any suggestions about things you want to see on the website, we're going to try and keep events up to date. And over time, the website is just going to become more valuable and grow. So anything that you think of, We are here to help you guys. We're here to bring value. We want this to be a resource, both the group and the website. So I hope you guys have enjoyed Monday Motivation. I think this is going to be super fun. I loved it. Beth was amazing. She helped me realize I have literally no organization whatsoever, but that's okay. That's okay. So before we go, Beth shared that with us, and then we will wrap it up.
Yeah, thank you. So a big thing, you can find me by looking up Side by Side Design Texas on Google. I also have a Facebook page and an Instagram, and you can just search Side by Side Design Texas, and you'll find me that way. If you follow me on social media, I offer a ton of free tips. I post several times a day, and so you can support me by just really being a follower in that way. As far as my services, I have a professional organization business, Side by Side Design Texas, and a team, and we help with little projects and then whole home projects and really everything in between. So we can do a declutter session where we help you make decisions about things that are hard to pass on. We do organization sessions where we organize the kitchen and a pantry or a closet and a bathroom or the entire home. We help people prep their home to list. So declutter before the move and get it ready so that you'll sell your house faster. And then we also do packing and unpacking services. So really anything that involves managing stuff in your home, we do businesses as well. We can help you with those things.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Beth. Julie, Kayla, you have anything to say before we go?
The pictures are beautiful, so I'm sold. So this is great. I'm so excited, and now I feel so motivated to just go and get rid of everything.
All right. I love it. We, again, we're here for you guys. Let us know anything that you need, and mamas, you are enough just how you are. So, all right. Thank you so much. And we will see you again next Monday. Bye.